Hello and welcome back to AI in Your Career. This is for the week ending May 29th, 2026. And today we're talking about why the execution gap is the defining career dynamic of 2026. So I want to start with something that sounds like good news. 87% of sales teams are now using AI. That's from Salesforce, where they surveyed 4,000 professionals globally. And 94% of sales leaders say agents are critical to meeting their business demands. So by the numbers, AI is basically one in sales, right? Everyone's using it, everyone believes in it. And here's the problem. So the 87% adoption number is creating a myth. The AI is leveling the playing field, that everybody has access to the same tools, so results should start converging. The data says the opposite is happening. The distribution of results is becoming more uneven, not less. This is the same tools, but is entirely different outcomes. So 54% of organizations have deployed agents. That said, why are things not being adopted in an even way? Well, here's the proof. High performers, the reps that have actually grown revenue year over year, are 1.7 times more likely to be using agents for prospecting than underperformers. The same platforms, the same tools, again, the same CRM. AI isn't leveling the playing field, it's amplifying the gap between the good and the great. So what I think this suggests is that the early adopters of AI, those that kind of have an acumen, love to play with these tools and develop the agents, are seeing a competitive advantage and their results increase. That said, the question for everyone watching isn't whether your organization has AI, it's whether you're executing with it in the way the top 13% are. So that is the execution gap, and how organizations are addressing that is dictating the results. So there's two forces that we see in this execution gap, and most people only see one of them. The first one hits you in the wallet. So Captivate IQ surveyed 200 incentive compensation leaders this year and found that 43% of companies have already priced AI productivity gains into sales quotas before those gains have actually been proven. Another 41% plan to do the same. So think about what that means. Leadership sees the Salesforce headlines. They see the 87% adoption rate. They see the efficiency promises from their software vendors, and they raise your number based on the assumption that it's working for you. So you're basically being measured against an unproven assumption. Now, we know that often sales reps don't know what's baked into their quotas, and they get increases that don't always seem to align with market dynamics or what's really going on in the field. And now AI is giving organizations an excuse to even put a higher metric. So if you're in sales, it's really good to know this. And it's also good to recognize you better upskill as fast as you can to be in that top 13% that are using agents to get it done faster. So the second force is less visible, but a little more dangerous. So McKinsey surveyed 500 organizations on AI governance this month. And the finding is that organizations are deploying agents at maximum speed and oversight is at zero. 36% have no formal plan for supervising their AI agents. 35% couldn't stop a rogue agent if they needed to. Here's the implication for you specifically. If your AI prospecting tool is sending bad emails, if your pipeline AI is flagging the wrong risks, if your forecasting model is wrong, your quota still doesn't care, and the liability lands on the human, and that's you. So doing it fast is not the same thing as doing it right, and it's good to be aware of that, especially for leaders. So what does the execution gap actually cost you? Let's make it concrete. Hi Bob published a survey data this week showing 97% of employers would pay more for candidates with in-demand AI skills, and 63% link AI proficiency directly to promotion decisions. So look at this comparison. The average adopter, passive tool access, clicking through default prompts, 58% are producing standard work, flat compensation, and mostly transactional deals. The frontier professional, as defined by Microsoft's Work Trend Index, intentional agent direction, 80% producing work that was impossible a year ago, and 97% of employers paying a premium, complex stakeholder deals. The gap isn't about intelligence or effort. It's about whether you're directing AI or just using it. Now, in the sales world, I'm seeing this in tech companies that said, I think there are legacy industries where this hasn't caught up. I think the big factor is the leader's perspective of the AI advantage in sales and their own AI acumen and literacy to think different about the possibilities. So, like many of our videos, I think the company culture and leadership is leading the way around the reality of these stats as they apply to your company. So keep that in mind. So now let's get honest about where different sales roles sit in the heat map. So sales development reps or business development reps, the top of funnel reps that are doing outreach, where 60%, 70% of current job functions on a clear automation path. So it's already happening. High volume outbound template sequences, list building, that's exactly what AI handles really well. So this is a low complexity sales role and just getting that initial conversation going. So the next layer of exposure is mid-market AEs with 2 to 4 year pressure window as AI improves basic discovery and objection handling and lower complexity sales. So I'm thinking inside sales reps here, those focused on contract renewals, basic upsells that can be done remotely. And there's still an important place for this role as AI oversight is necessary. And I'm dealing with key customers, we may not need the headcount that we've had in the past in many companies. Enterprise account executives and strategic architects are more insulated because the relationship capital, the political navigation, and the trust built over months or years cannot be automated. So this is where the floor is rising fastest and the compensation's following. The challenge of this is that what do we do about entry level sales? So if that area is going away or getting more automated, and to be a more high level account executive requires a significant amount of experience, how do you have your talent pipeline built? Something for organizations to consider what that looks like moving forward while still taking advantage of everything AI can offer. So just wrapping this up, how this all fits together, the formula behind the execution gap is access, 87%, adoption plus execution, where the quota piece comes in, right? That 43% inflated quotas, minus the governance issues, where 36% with no oversight plan equals the execution gap, right? So the synthesis is the highest leverage career move isn't learning to use AI, it's learning to govern it. Quality control of AI outputs is now the number one human skill in demand. That's McKinsey and Microsoft saying the same thing from different research streams in the same week. So here's just the sales playbook for the week. Audit your quota against reality. Now, you may not be able to ask your leaders if they've built AI into your quota. You may already have a business objective or a part of your number that is explicitly tied to learning it and using it. That said, what you can do about this is, regardless, step into leveraging AI where you can, upskill, get the training, learn about AI sales enablement, and start positioning yourself as a leader amongst your team and organization and understanding how these tools work and how to have oversight over them. So hopefully this can close the gap between what leadership thinks AI is delivering and what's actually happening, because you can inform that directly and support both not just yourself, but your team in that discussion. Second, own your prospecting stack before it owns you. So if you look at these two pictures, on the left, it's passive, like hit the start button, let the machine scatter. On the right, it's active. You're directing a precision instrument at a specific target. So stop accepting default configurations in lead gen tools and really become an orchestrator of AI, especially where it will be automated and you are going to use that more often, and become the team lead who kind of controls that quality again. And then, of course, Playbook 3, move towards complexity via the agentic spectrum. So as AI moves from assistant to executor, from drafting your emails to running autonomous sequences, the human role shifts in the opposite direction, right? So less manual execution, more governance and strategy. So the people who will thrive in this environment aren't the ones who do what AI does, just slower. They're the ones doing the things AI still can't, and then building things to do the things that they shouldn't be spending their time doing. So building trust, reading a room, having those relationship skills still matter, and understanding where AI can take the more administrative things off your plate, it really is the key. And this brings me to the last piece, which is just to talk about an emerging role to put on your radar. So the AI sales architect. It's not a technical role, it's a strategic one. The person who decides which tools to deploy and what sequence. This is the bridge between the sales organization and the IT organization. How do you build approval for certain tools? How do you work with people that know how to build agents for the organization in alignment with what the field needs? Who builds measurement frameworks to prove actual ROI, not assumed ROI? So this is one of the most undersupplied, highly compensated skill sets that is emerging in sales right now. And it sits at that intersection of revenue operations, sales leadership, and AI influency. And it's available to anyone who wants to build their skill set to own it. So if you're in sales today and you want to dive into this, this might be worth looking into. You will get a lot of job security by doing so. I'm going to wrap it up there this week. Thanks for listening. And if you're looking for support in navigating all of this, contact info@hbirdco.com. We'll provide it below in the link and learn how you can stay relevant and upskill in your career. So thanks for watching, and we will see you next week.